Good morning, it's Brian Witten and ET Art. It is morning too, it's about 4 AM. I actually got up early today because I actually want to put the video and take the screen here whilst I'm showing you some rock videos, and it's just better at this time in the morning. It's a darker room and I don't get a lot of traffic driving past, so it's better. Before I move on, I will say if you're 13 years old or younger, I would prefer you go and get your parents or minder or carer to make sure that they watch this video first before they let you watch it. If they say it's okay, it's fine with me. I left our last video off suggesting that this rock here, which is the one my son found, I left our last video suggesting that this rock, if it was actually held this way and put in that position, that there is a white dot on the side here and a white dot on the side here, and that we are possibly looking at a representation of the Australian, the Cape of Carpentaria. So, or I should say the Gulf of Carpentaria here, but the Cape, you know, we are looking at the Australian Cape, what we call the Cape. I believe that we are in actual fact here being told the very same thing. We have two dots here, and I suggested to you that they may very well be the impacts required here to slow the globe's rotational speed prior to us meeting the horizontal plane of the sun. And you who have watched my channel to this point know that what we are talking about is the fact that we have been told a rather, false history with respect to mankind's history on the planet, why the cycles of the sun are manufactured. Nothing is as natural as we thought, and that we've gone through the process of talking about bombs and atomic bombs going off directly on the very line of longitude that was tilted. I wanted to bring this up again because I wanted to show you that I actually found something else that seemed to me to say this is where they're going to land. This is the same rock, and it was, I'll just show you on this rock here. The bottom of this rock here has a little insert in it, right here. It's actually sort of like pushed into the bottom of the rock. And that part there was when I put that under the light, shone the light and whatnot. In actual fact, it showed us an impact in New York. It also showed us an impact in Canberra. With things coming out of the sky, places that were easily identifiable. The one I've got now today is not quite as easily identifiable, but certainly is a case. What I'll do is I'll rotate this back this way just to let you know that initially I had considered this rock in the following manner. There is a straight line going across here and these lines going straight this way, right? And I had these three marks. There's one there, and one there, and I assumed when I saw this that they were referring to the equator and, the tropics. A situation created by the tilt of the Earth, tilt of the Earth. If we didn't have a tilted axis like so, we wouldn't have the tropics. So that is why I then recognised this rock, what it was meaning, and I then realised, well, if that's latitude and that's longitude, well, this is an imaginary line, and I knew of the imaginary line that had all the megaliths, goes right around the globe and has all the megaliths pretty much popped all the way along it. I'm not saying there aren't other places around the globe, but quite often you'll find them on the longitudinal lines as well, so that's the case. They'll mark something here, but it'll be down here as well. You'll have buildings further down here in reference to it. And then I also said to you that in actual fact that these also could be reflective of the pyramids themselves, because this line from Easter Island, when you draw it directly to the pyramids on the Earth's surface, where it crosses the equator, the very line of longitude where it crosses the equator is this inserted image here. Once again, is the one that tilted the axis, and that is on the very same line of longitude that when you draw a line from Easter Island to the pyramids, as you can see, that could also be representative of the three pyramids. There are three lines on this rock like that, and they are reflective of the pyramid sizes themselves. but in actual fact that is why I went that way. In this instance, like I said, when you turn it this way, we are looking, in my opinion, the cape here, if it's held like that, and these two white dots are only on that line and that line. I wanted to show you something else, because that way there is an indentation there, right here, okay, and there's no white dots on this side. So whether it's saying these are, yes, there's 4 again, because we are also told there were 4 comets that hit above Australia in the first instance. I'll show you another picture. Now before I move on, I wanted to come back to this rock. This rock here, I'll do an inserted picture here, is the Tintan rock. I have put videos up about this rock. One of them was, as crazy as it sounds, and I thought long and hard, like I said about it, was the programmable rock video. This rock that you're looking at has had lines come and go, messages come and go, and I will just show you an example today, exactly what has changed. But what I wanted to show you was this part of the rock here, where we see 1 and V written here, which is 4 in Roman numerals. We are seeing a smaller circle there and a bigger circle there where this white bit of stuff is, and we're being told that the one on the bottom here is where the movement has happened. Right, so what's happened, and there's also a little white line there that points down to here for this one here, so it's pointing to the white one, and it goes pointing back this way, and it's going down here. Now this inserted image is in actual fact the impact, and it's saying the bigger one is the one that hit here. The one that hit here then broke into 4, and then they went and separated the Australian landmass from Asia. I won't go into it, but there was actually 5 came off there. It wasn't 4. It was 5, but one of them was used somewhere else, and it was used to create the Mediterranean. It was added to that one, and the Mediterranean was created, and that was what drove the planet away from the horizontal plane of the sun. And these ones that bounced off here and then hit above Australia, they are the ones that set the planet on its motion and left the plane floating, so that the plane drifted for 6,000 years until we got to where we're getting very close to now, and that's travelling within the horizontal plane of the sun again. I wanted to show you that because that is where we are looking at the South American continent there. So we're seeing an indication of that happen. I'll show you now what that changed to 4, and I wanted to show you that just to say that I wanted to show you a coastline on this rock as well, just to let you know it was the same rock. If I go from that one to the next picture, now this is the same rock that I've got on the screen at the moment. It's pretty easy to see that the 4 in Roman numerals that was here right along the part of South America is gone. This is under slightly different lighting. This is the circular part you saw of the other image, and there was another circle part here which under different lighting it wasn't so much different lighting as well. What actually happened was this rock, and I have mentioned that this rock is the Tintan rock with the things that come and go and disappear and change. You can obviously see these white lines coming out here, and they're not there. They were there when I just showed you the last image. And yet I've actually got where you watch where this one goes, it actually lands right here. And if you were in South America, that's where Rio is. And Rio is one of the places that I've already gone through in another video showing you that there's a rock I found that had a huge Christmas tree right on the ocean or a lake or whatever. And that is exactly where it happens. It happens in Rio, and right behind the Christmas tree was a half loop and a loop thing that looked exactly like a racetrack, which is right behind where they put the Christmas tree here. So Rio is a place on more than one rock that is being targeted. Now whether these are things that are all got to happen, I'm thinking that they might be doing little ones, 3 or 4 lots of little ones, to achieve the objective of slowing the globe and coming in, from that angle. Whether these are all at the same time, I don't know. It gets a bit tricky there working that out. But The other thing that happened when I did this, obviously with this lighting, you saw all this come out, and when I get this clear, it's not real clear on this picture, but you see that there's a little, like a space station here with lifts and all sorts of things in here, and UFOs parked along here. This one here that comes out here has got a little UFO flying out of here. There's UFOs flying off the end of each one of these. They change and get more clear and less clear depending on what light angle I came from. Mostly I wanted to come here and show you that you can obviously see 17 written here where it had 4 in Roman numerals, and the 4 in Roman numerals is gone. I just wanted you to see that that in actual fact happened, and I'll show you one other thing. Now I've just got that other, I've got that rock back up now, but just under slightly different lighting conditions. And now you can see the 17 here is very clearly, but you can see the 2 circles here very clearly, whereas just 2 seconds ago with the light coming from another angle, this disappears entirely, and you see all these things parked on here and that whole part of that and there. What you actually see this thing doing is dropping things down into a cross like this, and they're saying that what they do is they put this structure across the oceans to stop the tsunamis that are driven by the sun's magnetism, because that is what drives our tides when we come back into the horizontal plane of the sun. It's very, very strong. It drives global tsunamis every day. It's why we have the message so big in the pyramids. But once again, the 17 is very easy to see there. I wanted to mention that because I thought it was from the 1st of July, right? Because it was last July I was working all this out when this changed to 17. And then in the day it worked out, the 1st of July last year was 111 years in one day since the Tunguska event, which is the event that was used to mark the big asteroid or meteor, whichever one you call it, that was in Asia, that was used to slow the planet down. We spoke about that in the last video. So that was actually the 1st of July last year. And I thought that when that came up with 17, that we had 17 months from the 1st of July last year to get us to the day we crossed the plane of the sun. And that's why I thought that was the case. I'll show you one more thing on this rock. Now I have shown you this before in some other videos, but I did want you to have a look at what we are being told, that this was the West Australian coastline here. You see rather a bit more of a landmass here, so obviously the tide was out a little more. The oceans are a little lower, which they were. Great Australian Bight here, the West Australian coast here, and these are the 4 comets that came off that impact that at the bottom of South America. These are the 4 that came across and separated the Australian landmass. This one we've spoken of before, there's a little mark there, and this inserted image now is how I found it. It's right in the middle of Western Australia. The reason I wanted to show you this, that I said to you, we're seeing the coastline of Australia here on this rock, and I'll show you the coastline of Australia on the same rock, but another part of the coast. In other words, this very part here, which is the Great Australian Bight, I will show you, is on the same rock but in another place. Before I move away from this image, I will say that that rock there, or that comet that I've just shown you on its landing, is in actual fact trapped. The 3 walls, well, they start out as 2, but there are 3 walls at the Sacsayhuaman walls in Peru, which are the ones I'm just now showing you on the screen. The centre wall there, that you're seeing here, the centre wall represents the trajectory of that comet. It's there for a reason. It's there to tell us they came from west to east, and this way, heading this way, in this direction. These ones were all big, very big. These ones were used to set the planet on its way on the unnatural cycle that it's just about to finish. I'll show you one more part of the coast on the same rock. And I've just got another portion of the same rock. The part I've just showed you that had the 4 in is just about here, up here around that part of that rock there. This shows you where Nibiru was. There's a little body, a little round thing spinning around a red ball there. That's disappeared altogether, and so has this, and so has that, so has that, so has all these, so has this. to the best of my knowledge, the last time I saw that, it had a line like this and a pyramid at the end of it. That always used to look just like that. But this is where I believe we're seeing the Great Australian Bight here, and round into Port Augusta and Adelaide and whatnot. It's also marked here was the comet impact in Western Australia that I just showed you, is also on this one here, and that's where you get a question mark and it says question what you're seeing here. You know, so this was, my opinion, was telling me about the Great Australian Bight, and it, like I said, that little mark there is exactly where the meteor impact that I've already showed you in the middle of Western Australia is. I wanted to show you that because I think I found another rock that had a coastline that told me where the next impact, and verified what my suspicions were about that first initial rock that I showed you, that there's going to be in Queensland. Now, I have shown you this before. It is a cross-section of the pyramid and how it is designed to tell us the planet's movement during the process of being hit with these comets. This one is representative of the South American comet. This one is Central American comet here. I said to you just then that there were 5 comets off here, and that one was taken to create the Mediterranean. It showed us right there that it does it, because it is added with the one from here to create the Mediterranean right there. And that is where it's telling us it's taken one off the one that came from, or the 5 that came from here, and the other 4 went on to stop the motions that were happening and then kick the planet off on its trip around the sun that was manufactured, and that is where that happens. But that is where it's telling you, I took a comet from here. There are 4 going this way. I just wanted to show you that is where it tells us it took one of the 5 comets that were created from the impact in South America, was taken from there and added to that one to create the Mediterranean. That is exactly where in the design of that building it tells you it did so. I just wanted to bring this up just for one more second to show you back. Here where we have got 4 written in Roman numerals, we also have Nibiru that I just showed you in the other image, also visible here from the other angle. But if you now go to where that place is on the rock, this pink planet here, and the men that were standing near what was the Great Australian Bight, if I go to that part of the rock again, and you'll see that in actual fact it's gone altogether. If I bring that up, that's right in the same part of the rock. That's where that pink mark was here with the planet. It's gone altogether. So, you know, I mean, that's what's happened. It's a very, very unusual thing to happen, but that is the very same part of the rock here. You know, actually you can almost see a face in here, look. Nose and eyes, his mouth, and his crested head. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that there have been marks, and I have made a few videos about, put them all up about this. As you said, you can see these extra white lines and 17 here, and it's the very same rock, so it's a very unusual thing. So I'll move on now with the video I took off a rock I found yesterday. The rock I've got on the screen at the moment, or the picture of the rock I have on the screen, is a rock I found about 2 days ago in a place called Blackhead, which is on the mid-north coast of New South Wales in Australia. And the rock I thought was interesting, so I picked it up. And what we're going to look at now is in actual fact a video that I took off the rock. And I stopped at this portion because there are things sometimes I see that make me, well, I just stop. I just think that looks interesting, that looks like there might be a message there. And so I'll let this play, and I will discuss with you as we go along what I thought it meant. And so you'll see the light flash off. I generally, when I'm doing these videos now, I take it like this with the microscope light. I then turn the microscope light off and then back on very quickly, just to try and see if there's anything at a low light level when you get down like this, using the microscope light. And then I go off the microscope light, and then I use an external light which is this image inserted here is actually what I use. This is a light source. I think it's called a dog box or something of that nature. I bought it when we were away camping. It was a fantastic thing to have gone and acquired, because it was well and truly used, and it was the thing that made the discovery of these images. What I wanted to show you here on this rock is this bit here, okay? Because while I look at that, I looked to what I was looking at, and I thought, well, I'm looking at that, and that looks the same as this, okay? So what it was telling me, in my opinion, that's going to move, as I've said to you, with the videos, the imagery. It looks to me, with these inserted images, with the big boulders and round rocks. I lived in New Zealand. I've actually been to this place here and got photos myself. The very same thing. It's these balls that I have suggested, with all the boreholes that they can drill underneath the planet, underneath the land masses, that they can slide continents, entire continents out of the way, or go along and cut with a laser right through them and move them out of the way. Now, when I looked at this, I then thought, well, geez, if I was thinking anything, I'm thinking that is exactly the same shape as that, and what they're telling me is I can come along here and I'm going to cut this out here and take it out of the way. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm looking at a coastline here again, that this is a coast somewhere, and somewhere on a coast it was going to cut that out, right? And then I thought, well, where is that? And then this is why I just started with the rock that I started with. If held the way I had it, and it represents the cape, I then thought, well, is this showing me a coast of Queensland anywhere? You know, can I go along the coast and find the black being the land, the white being the ocean? The other thing that's made me think this is these lines, and that's why you'll see me spend a little bit of time. There's 4 of them come down here. Yet the rock, I said, has only got 2 dots on the side, so maybe it's saying that 2 are going to land here, and they're telling us right where they're going to land, right there, 1 there and 1 there. So there's going to be 2 hit here, and we're going to come along and we're going to cut this bit of landmass out here and move it out of the way before we land them here, because that's what this is saying to me. That's what I see when I look at this. I did mess around a little bit here and go off target, but at the start I actually was trying to get these there's a little shiny bits up in each one of these where they're coming down. Right there you see it light up a bit better, so you can actually see that there's actually something here at the end of these lines. Very, very, very unusual thing, but I thought I'll go and we'll go before I go away from that. I just want you to watch this, because in actual fact what you get at one point there, it actually, as so many do, a coastline or mountain ridges or whatever, it actually looks like it's a man's face. Comes into like having a nose here and, you know, its head. So it sort of looks like it's looking up. If you can imagine a bloke lying down and his head looking up, that turns into a little bit like a face about there, you know. Now I'll show you, it may even be more prevalent at the start, just under normal lighting here. I think when I start moving that around, or even just, you know, dropping it down a bit, but you can see what I'm saying. It's very much the same shape here as it is here. And so to me, that's exactly what they're saying there. We are going to come along. You can see these streaks down here are very much more clearer here. But I would say that's the case. Now I'll show you the next thing I wanted to show you. Now I've just zoomed into part of the east coast, north or far north coast, as they like to call it over here, so that you can see where I am now. Okay, that's where I've got to here. I'm going to go back in here so you can see that that's where the cape is, remembering where our lines were on our rock. if I come in here now, where I believe we are looking at on that other rock is here. We're seeing the coast of Cairns, and that's that part sticking up. And down to here is where they're going to cut out here. All of that and drive them in here. There's the guy's face here. You can see his nose, it's upside down and looking that way sort of thing, but it's upside down. It's the same sort of coastline now. I'll do a freeze frame of that and we'll have a look and I'll compare both together, okay? We'll see if it's very similar. Okay, now I've got that video stopped right where I wanted you to see the coast here. If we're going to come along and we're going to cut this bit out of here. Now I want you to just watch the part of the coast which is near Cairns. I'll click it off and on. It's this part here, and this is this where you can sort of see that guy's face a little bit there, or his nose sticking out. It's the same on that other picture. So here, right there. So to me, and where that's cutting off there is the river. Here, there's a river inlet there, so they're saying here, and it's odd that there are two islands off the coast there, very much in line with these two lines that came here. So what I think we are being told here, they're telling us where these two are going to land are right there, because that's actually, you know, if I was looking at any part of the coast, excuse me that this is this way, but obviously it's far better to have that pointing in the same way on the coast. But you even got this little notch here before it gets cut out, and it's exactly the same here. Here's our little notch here before we come in and get cut where that river is. So I reckon that's what's going down here. And you note this one here is just to the left of where the river is. You go back here and that island is just to the left of the river. So I actually think what they're saying on this rock here, if I was to believe what I'm looking at, they're going to cut that much out of there and land these two comets right there, right opposite Cairns, and it'll come in right where the aeroplane is. That's Cairns airport there and there. So where these islands are, in actual fact the trajectory. I'll go back to the original rock now. So when I come back to this rock now, I just wanted to mention that we have got a dot here and a dot here. There are not two dots here, even though there's two lines. So whether that's saying, well, there's one impact site going to be there, and there's going to be two, which is what the other rock says, or one of those says one of them is a little bit higher than the airport, but maybe it's just putting it in there and it might be saying, no, the other one's up here. So I'm not 100% sure there, but I certainly would expect that if we were looking at the second one here, because the white line, the white dot is on that line and on that line there. It's not on that one and it's not on this one. There's no white dots down here. And I would suspect if that was another one on the coast, it would be a little further up, and I'll show you where. If I suspected the other location, I would expect it to be in this area here. And the reason I say that, albeit it might sound a little silly, in one of those other videos or in this inserted rock, if you look at the inserted rock, you'll note there's a little crack running from side to side. You actually go in that crack and move along it, and it's like you're going and following the coast. That's what it seems like. It, you know, just like we just found that little bit there that looks the same as the coast down here. There's another part with a finger of land coming out like this, and a big looping round bay. And really, when I went up and down the coast, it's really the only one, and it is actually very close to the top here, which is what the rock says. It's more up closer to the top of here is where the second one is. And like I said, if you're going to crash something somewhere, I would expect that to be the case. Now I will go out just a bit on this because I wanted to bring your attention to this side here, because because over on this side, albeit you don't see it very well on this version I run on here of Google Earth, is nothing like, but you can see this here. You see that slide in there and this big rock here, and there's been another one here slide in and a big rock here. So where we've already discussed this, where it's quite easy to see where these asteroids have come up, or comets, or whatever you wish to call them, all the way up there. And that's how they do this. It's not, you know, these are two big boulders that have been used at one point. I say boulders, these are the size of Tasmania. They have been used to push the planet over and lay it flat and get it on the cycle that goes out towards Mars. That is when they come from the bottom. They always say the ones coming up from the south are used to tilt the Earth over like that. And those cycles are the ones that move between the rings, or multiple rings of rotation Earth has around the Sun. One is 40 million miles beyond Mars. So now I could say, well, maybe those little white dots that we've got on here are representative of these. I don't think so. And I don't think so, and the reason I don't think so is because these came from this angle. The rock does not say that. The rock says they're coming and they're going this way. Okay, so that's where I think we've got one in Cairns and one further up the coast, about right on that little kink. I want to show you the video, or one of the videos I took as we finish up. Before I move on with the video of the rock that I wanted to show you, I do hope you stay on for it, because it is actually quite profound, some of the images you get off the rocks. They really are amazing. I do urge you to go and look at some of those. I wanted to show you this yellow line that I've got now that you can see move here. Is in actual fact the trajectory from the asteroid that was one in the middle of Western Australia. I'll insert the picture for you again. If I follow that trajectory down, it in actual fact is doing exactly as we suspected. It comes down to this island off the coast of Canberra. And so I'm not saying that this one is not there as well. We were sitting in a situation, as you can see there, when I get that in line, she's pretty much in line with the trajectory of the one that was coming here, the one that landed last time. It didn't, not big enough to do anything really when they're dropping ones that are 700 kilometres wide. This one's only 16 kilometres wide. It was left where it was in the middle of Western Australia to let us know what we were to expect. In other words, were the ones that were going to come as big as the ones last time? This one here is 1100 kilometres wide. This is the one that's bounced across Australia and created the Gulf of Carpentaria. You can see it where it's marked the ocean floor here. You can see where Tasmania as a continent, I mean as the body of Tasmania here, the whole lot. The whole lot has been slid in there. That's why the landmass of Tasmania is not the same makeup of the mainland. They believe that this was, the geologists reckoned it was dragged away from the North American. It wasn't dragged away, it was picked up and moved there on yet another situation when the planet has had to be laid flat on its axis. That's exactly what's happened here as well. The reason I wanted to come back to here is to say that at the time that this asteroid is hitting and the time that this Earth is getting tilted here, we are not sitting here in caveman theory. We are sitting here having had Atlantis installed for 16,000 years with them here. That's what they say it goes down. It's only 6,000 years ago they left. So where the relevancy of where it landed is for now, to teach us what the hell was going to happen. So what I'm saying to you is what I'm expecting is the comets that hit us are 16 kilometres wide. The other thing that part of the globe here, where I just showed you up here, where we suspected the comet was going to land, where on the coast it is, and where when you measure what it is here, right, which is that point down to the river, which is where I said it was going to be. So from Cairns to the other side of there, down to the river, it's about 43 kilometres. I convert that to miles, it's 27 miles. There's 27,000 years in our precession, or the precession of the planet's 27,000 years. We get 27 miles. It's not the only thing that I wanted to mention in respect time or distance. I did say to you and mentioned to you already that the 1st of July was 111 years and 1 day since the Tunguska event. 1st of July last year was exactly that. And the rock then changed from 4 to 17, and I said, well, 17 months. 17 months from that was December this year that was all going to happen. I wanted to come here because and let you know that where my son found that rock was in a river right here, right on the bend of that river right there. Okay, we both found that rock, or his rock, right there, and I'll also show you this rock as well, which was also found in the same hole. From that point, right, from that point there to the very point in Cairns is 1,111 kilometres. So I would expect I'm correct. That's the other reason why. It's the other reason why I made the video too. There were too many things saying, no, that's going to be right. So what I would suspect from that location there, where the rock was found, all the way up to Cairns itself, is exactly that. It's 1,111 kilometres exactly. So I would expect Cairns is definitely one of the places above Cairns here. Okay, and I want you to be note when I said to you that I suspect this one was the other one. Like there was a bay here. Oh, sorry, it was a bit further up. I think it's this one here. And the reason I said that is I said to you, be aware when I show you this next video whether we're actually seeing that. You know, the second location here, I'll show you in the video when I start it, when I click to this one and say, okay, well, if we follow the same principle as last time, which is the white is the ocean and the black is the land mass, right, I want you to note that there. Okay, and then look at this again, see that? Knob out and then back again. So I think that's actually where the second impact's going to be. I'll show you the video now and we'll press play whilst I finish up. Okay, I'll just kick this video off and I'll just show you a few things that what brought my attention. There's sort of like green in here on the rock. It's like green crystals in amongst this part, and then I noticed this little black line through here. And they're the sort of things that make me just stop in a given spot. Things of interest, and they just look interesting, so you sort of stop and you either hit something that's worthwhile and you recognise it, or you do not. Sometimes I can shine my light for around a rock for a while and not necessarily hold it in the right angle that I need to for them to see what it is I want to see, or them for me to see what they want me to see, I should say. I put this one in because it in actual fact seemed to have a few UFOs in it and such things, but I thought, well, I'll just finish off with this video now and let this play whilst I talk to you. It is difficult for me to come to an exact time. It really is difficult to work out when everything is going to happen. And I suggested to you about them letting the ocean out last time, and I suggested that that's in actual fact what they are likely to do. Just how much of the water they let out, or whether they don't. They might say, no, well, the people on the planet aren't talking or doing whatever. So like I said, I don't know what level of support we'll get. I would expect it has a lot to do with the behaviour of the leaders on the planet. And if you think that the Prime Minister of our country is not watching these videos, I can assure you he is. I have other reasons totally separately from the pyramids and megaliths and such things. I kicked off many years ago, nearly 20 years ago now, trying to find out Well, basically trying to expose corruption within family law. I won't go too much into that, but to say today is an actual fact Australia Day, and my mother was murdered the very day before my family court hearing. I won't go into that any further either, but this is why my channel's very monitored anyway, and it always has been. So I don't, I do let the Prime Minister know about ones that I put up that are rather important, and I know he's got them and he sees them, and I did advise him to go and see Mr. Trump, or President Trump I should say, and within 2 days of our Prime Minister visiting President Trump wanted to buy Greenland. So I think they were just letting me know, or at least Mr. President Trump was letting me know exactly that. I stop this, I will leave this go, but I have seen these sort of things before where you get a digger mounted on the front of an aircraft or looks like the back of a helicopter or a plane there, but the front of it looks like it's got a digger, one of those digger machines again. It doesn't come out overly clear there. I just thought that may have been what they were trying to portray there. And this is once again, I would see that there are elements within the visionary here that is saying we can cut and move land masses, huge ones, things we wouldn't even consider possible. And honestly, I can see this imagery all over on every rock I've got. Every rock. You will not see any of this. If you've got a proper bifocal digital microscope, I know I bought one, you cannot see a thing. You cannot shine light in from the side like this, or outside of your light used by the microscope. It's impossible. You cannot see anything. It's black. That's it, So you don't even see any of this where they, I think I paid about $700 or $800 for a digital bifocal microscope, and I did put a video up called The Light so that you could see that in actual fact I did test it. And that was the case. So, I just thought, the situation is it's just very difficult to know the exact time. But I would think that I'm not wrong in time. I think on that rock where it says 17, it was 17 months from the 1st of July last year. Okay, that's what I believe is the case. Now, how long it takes to lower the ocean level, I don't know. That's the stuff I don't know. I don't know whether they're going to do that before. I don't know whether they're going to do it after. I don't know if they may decide they're not going to do it at all. But I'm seeing here a rock say we're going to cut this big chunk of land out up near Cairns and move it out of the way. That's what that rock implies to me. It implies to me we can cut this and we're going to move it out of the way, and that's where one of them is going to hit. I haven't seen one moving Canberra out of the way. Okay, the one I see with Canberra is a rock landing right on top of it. So, I don't know. All I'm saying is they would appear to me to be more than one option, just like there are and I mentioned in the last video, as I would with this inserted image. So actually this was interesting too. I just stopped here and the reason I do mess here a little bit, there's a couple of little specks of light there, and I just stop occasionally because I occasionally freeze frame that and zoom in, and it's really quite amazing, some of that. But you see how that little red, you get red colour will flick off and on. It's like a light. It's actually, some of the technology on these rocks, I can tell you now, is extremely high tech. To do all this, it's multifaceted laser cutting, and it's produced, it's manufactured. They're not natural. It's not a natural thing. The amount of things that you see on them and the logical placement of them to produce an image, it's not, it's a manufactured process. It's a really quite an amazing thing. Some of them, if you went back and looked at all my videos, some of them will blow you away, I can tell you now. There are ones that are extremely obvious, that there are UFOs flying all over the countryside. This rock is, pretty much the same as that too. There's some good UFO imagery in this one. Looks like there's UFOs flying over the mountains and such things. Listen, I think I'll finish off there today. It is Australia Day, and like I said, it's the day my mother passed. It was in 2006 that she was done away with. I did recently get a letter from the police commissioner. I did send him some things. He did exactly as I thought he would do, which is nothing, which probably wasn't a good choice there, Mr. Commissioner, because I just do my job, and when you don't do yours, well, you don't answer to me, I don't answer to you, but I'll tell you what, the bloke you answer to are going to be here pretty soon, mate, so good luck with that decision not to follow up on what you were sent. For everybody else, I just wish you a lovely Australia Day, and hopefully we get to the end of the day and we get closer to what we've got to find out, because we really need to know what's going down here. I wouldn't expect, for them to leave all of this, whether they're going to say, okay, well look, they know, whether they got proof that you guys know what I've been telling you, maybe that's all they're doing. Maybe the videos, my participation here is doing my bit in letting you know what you already know, but their behaviour and what they do is based on your behaviour. So, and how you go about letting the public know what they should have known for many hundreds of years. Listen, I'll leave you all with that, and let's just hope that the people that are on our planet that are good people, I have nothing to fear, guys, you really don't. The message here is that clear and repetitive over and over and over. One other thing I will finish off with is, if you are a person of faith and you're finding everything on my channel is really contradicting everything you know, it contradicts everything I thought I knew, so I would expect you to be in the same boat. Listen, everything I see from these people, they are us, technically. They're our ancestors, and I can assure you the amount of messages they give the leaders of this world, you can be absolutely certain that even the people with the technology to put this type of high-tech information on every river rock, I can tell you now, the reason they give these people, our leaders, so many chances, so many times, they give them the option. They've been told so many times, don't let atomic bombs off, Then they go and do this 9/11 thing. That's why 9/11 was interfered with. It was interfered with by the people that built these rocks. It was made so those buildings did not bang on the ground when they hit there, because it was yet another time where they've tried to straighten the axis. This time they've tried to use the top of two big buildings. That's why they evaporated before they hit the ground. It was these people that made that happen. Listen, I'll leave that at that, and I think, like I said, the people that run our world, they're going to have people to answer to very, very shortly. And for all the rest of us, I would expect, like I said, the amount of chances they give our leaders, there is without doubt, you would have to say, there are without doubt people that do this have faith. They know there's life after death. That's why they give so many choices and chances to our leaders. I wanted you to be aware that I'll let this just play out. But just there's an interesting little part comes up there. I could go back there, but I'll let you go back, okay? If you want to go back to where we were a little while ago, the image there is really quite magnificent. That's all from Brian Whitten and ET Art. Have a lovely Australia Day. Thank you very much. Bye bye.